Okay, welcome back. This is part two of the parent orientation summary. If you made it all through part one, good for you. Hopefully you took a little break. And now we'll talk about a little bit more about the SC4 side of things for middle college students. One of the things coming up before too long is scheduling for winter classes. And here the students just got underway with their fall classes a few weeks ago, and now we have to start thinking about winter semester. The students get to choose and register for SC4 classes on their own. Obviously, we will give them guidance and be there to help them every step of the way. Some need it more than others, and that's okay. So we'll help those who need it and double check what they're doing. Registration for winter classes actually opens up at midnight on November 3rd. That's a Monday. So if students are all ready and they know what sections they want, they can have it all ready to go, and then right at midnight on Monday they can log into their Wave account and submit the classes for registration, and then they can be all set for the winter semester. They will have time all the way up to the start of the semester to register, but certainly we don't want students waiting into December, because the options then start to fill up and there's less to choose from. We will have October success sessions that will teach them how to register early in October. The date, I believe, is October 3rd. There will be a success session where we'll talk about the requirements for a degree and how to choose classes. And even talking about how to know whether a class they want will transfer to a future college or university. We'll touch on that as well on the 3rd. But October 24th is a very important session. Mrs. Carrie Burse, the SC4 registrar, who's in charge of the registration department, will meet with the students and go through all the steps in successfully registering for classes and choosing classes at SC4. If a student makes a mistake during registration and we don't catch it, they may find themselves without classes in January. So this is one that we want all students to attend, and that is Friday, October 24th. We'll have two time sessions from 1 to 2:30, and then again from 3 to 4:30. Of course, we'll be sending out more information about that as it gets closer. We are always available to meet with the students, of course, and you as well, regarding choosing classes. It's pretty early into their SC4 program, if you will. They probably won't make too many mistakes scheduling, but it's never too early, I guess, to start looking at the program and making wise decisions. But most of them, you can't go wrong with what they're already taking: speech, political science, the computer class, CIS 115, and so on. But we will be glad to meet with you or your son or daughter. Just have them contact us and we'll schedule an appointment. Designing a program of study at SC4. We won't spend a lot of time on that today, but I would, if it works okay. I'm going to see if this will open up a worksheet for the Associate in Arts degree. And if all goes well, this will open up, and I'll be able to show you a little bit of how we help students choose classes. It looks like it's going to work. Hopefully it does on your screen. This is a worksheet. We've adapted it a little bit. It's very similar to what you will find in the SC4 catalog, but we've made it a little easier to use for our students. So as I zoom out a little bit, I don't want to make it too small for you guys viewing this on YouTube, but you'll see a group of classes called Social Science, and then there's a group called Humanities, Mathematics, and then Science down here in the lower left a little bit. And what I'm going to do is zoom back in just to show you how this works. For example, for an Associate in the Arts degree, it says that students must have 8 credits met. You need at least 8 credits required for the Associate in Arts degree. And then the idea is, well, what classes qualify for social science classes? And in this case, you're looking at anthropology, economics, certain geography classes. The ones that don't qualify are these numbers here: 101, 105, and so on. History classes will qualify as social science, political science, and then psychology and sociology as well. Okay, so that's the social science, and usually it takes 3 classes to get to 8 credits. Again, I don't want to go into too much detail on this, how this works, but there's also, you'll see the humanities. Those include speech, which all students have to take, music classes, Any foreign language classes, those qualify as humanities as well. And so again, we'd sit down with a student, we'd write down, well, what do you have so far? And then we would go from there in terms of what do you need. For example, sometimes a student will come to us and they might be halfway through the program. They're approaching winter semester as a senior and they haven't taken any science classes yet. At that point, we'd want to say it's important. You need 2 science classes at least. You want to find a science class and get it on your schedule. You don't want to leave a certain category to the end. One of the key things to realize is a student needs 62 credits overall to earn an associate degree at SC4. I already mentioned that the GPA has to be 2.0 or above for all their college classes. The credits at college and high school are quite different, whereas one class that runs for a full year at high school counts as 1 credit. At the college, a regular class for 1 semester is usually 3 credits and sometimes 4 credits. So the credits add up much more quickly. Students do have time to get to 62 credits as a Blue Water Middle College Academy student, but it doesn't take much to get them off track and put them a little behind. If a student fails a class or withdraws from a class, that makes it very difficult in some cases to get to 62. Students who are required to take developmental classes, those are classes less than a 100 level class, such as Math 075, that could put them behind as well. So you have to realize that you have to pass everything and choose everything wisely to earn the associate degree at the end of the middle college experience. But if not, a student is likely within 1, 2, maybe 3 classes of earning the degree. So they're going to be very close, and we'll talk about what you can do about that later on. But it's not a problem. They either can continue at SC4 to get the degree, or they can transfer on to a university and just transfer 1, 2, or 3 classes back and to get their associate degree. So that's just a real brief overview of this graduation worksheet. We have them in the office, and we can email them to you if you want. But we'll work with your son or daughter on that early in October and right on through the fall as they look to schedule. Okay, shifting gears a little bit now to the relationships with the partner high schools and how things should be for your son or daughter at both schools, the high school and the college. At the high school, there should be little difference for the students. In other words, things should be pretty much the same. They can be in the sports that their full-time classmates can attend, the plays, things like that, as long as they don't interfere with the college schedule and vice versa. So that's one of the things that's different, that students have to make this all work. Scheduling middle college students does pose some difficulties for the high schools. You have to keep that in mind. Remember, they're trying to get all their middle college students, in many cases all their tech students, scheduled into morning classes, and that often fills those classes sometimes to overflowing, and then they sometimes need to bump students out and so on. So middle college students do not necessarily get any special treatment at the high schools. It's nice if they do get scheduled in to those earlier classes, and our schools have done a great job of that, but there are times when it just can't be done, and sometimes that forces a change in their SC4 schedule. Students must follow our warnings or risk being dropped from SC4 classes, and I guess what I'm talking about specifically, we tell juniors not to schedule a class before 1 o'clock at SC4 because it's too risky to try to get there on time. You are not to be let out early from a high school class, and you shouldn't arrive to an SC4 class late every day. So that's something we tell the juniors, don't schedule one before 1 o'clock. For seniors, we tell them do not schedule an SC4 class before 12 noon. Even if you're at one of the schools that's close to SC4, things come up with the scheduling or transportation, and then suddenly you can't make it on time. So if that becomes a problem, the student will be dropped from the SC4 class. Progress reports and report cards will come from the partner high schools, and they'll show the grades of the classes taken there. You will not get a progress report from the college. I'll talk about that in a little bit. But so you get a lot less grade information and attendance information from SC4 than you do from the high schools. But what you have gotten from the high schools in the past should remain the same. You will have access to Parent Connect for up-to-date grades and attendance. Students should be able to access school services at their high school, whether it's counseling services or medical services, again, athletics and electives and so on, as long as they can meet those requirements of those clubs and organizations, whatever it is, whatever is expected of the other students. Middle college students must be able to meet those expectations, or maybe they can't participate. The behavior expectations and consequences are identical to any full-time student at the high school. It kind of goes without saying, but they need to follow the high school code and face the consequences for any violations, and that includes suspension for suspendable infractions. They must follow the attendance and grading policies. So usually attendance is not a problem, does not become a problem for our students at their high school, but if a student did exceed the number of allowable attendances and so on, then they would be at the mercy, I guess you would, of the attendance policy of the local high school, and they could potentially forfeit credit, for that class. Regarding the college now, students are in the world of college now, and they're treated as full-time college students. The expectations are exactly the same for middle college students as they are for any other college student at SC4. One thing to keep in mind as a parent is that the freedom for students is much greater. There's no one checking them in at class, or there are no hall monitors here, parking lot attendants, things like that, although there is a campus security I'll talk about. But so the freedom for students is greater. It's then up to the students to I guess live up to the expectations within that freedom and get to class on time and go to class and do well. The expectations in terms of work are greater. The expectations in terms of participating in class discussions and preparing before the class are much greater in the college classrooms. Now, most students really like that, and they really embrace that and thrive on that. There are some students, though, that want to fall back into their high school ways at college, and that does not usually end up with a good result. So they really have to rise to the expectations that are set for all college students when they're in SC4 classes. Success or failure rests more on them. The college instructors, they are wonderful in terms of offering help to students, but they will not bend their rules or their deadlines and things like that. It's up to the students to know when things are due and to get them turned in. And that's a little bit different than at high school, where the teacher often has things that are coming up written on the board, and they remind them every day. Remember Friday there's going to be a test. Remember Friday there's going to be a test. In college, it may just be shown on the syllabus. The instructor might not even mention that there's going to be a test on Friday, but it's up to the student to know when those are coming up. Your role in terms of knowing where the students are in grades and attendance is greatly reduced for their college courses. And there are the FERPA, the Federal Educational Rights and Privacy Act, comes into play in a big way at college. SC4 treats all dual enrolled students, middle college and regular dual enrolled high school students, as full-time college students, if you will. So all the FERPA laws apply. So they are not going to give out information to you if you call an instructor, which please don't. That's the next bullet in terms of communication with SC4 faculty. But in terms of understanding how your students are doing in a class, you have to work through them. And I know that a lot of times parents say, well, I can't get them to tell me, or they just say everything's fine, and it might not be. If they're not giving you the information and you don't feel confident that they are, contact us. We'll get in touch with them, and we'll request that they give us more information about their notes, show us past tests, and so on. But in terms of the parents' communication with SC4 instructors, please do not contact the instructors directly. It is up to your son or daughter, the student, to contact them if they have questions. As part of the agreement of starting the middle college and having SC4 as our partner, it was very clear early on that the parents of students were not to get in touch with SC4 faculty, just as they wouldn't expect the parent of a 20-year-old or a 24-year-old to get in touch with the college instructor. The same holds for middle college students. With that in mind, though, we can be your contact or your liaison to try to figure out if something doesn't seem right. We'll see what we can do to get information to you, because we do want the students to succeed, but we would ask that you don't contact the instructors directly. You play an important role, though, and that is just to kind of gauge your son or daughter, how they're doing in their classes. If they indicate that they're struggling, contact us. Ask them, have they met with the instructor? That's really the first step. Or come and meet with us, the student can, and then we'll help them take the steps they need to get the support that they need. Maybe it's an organizational piece, understanding what's due when. But so you can be there for them as a middle college student when you won't be there for them when they're away at Central Michigan or Kalamazoo College or wherever. So you do play an important role, but just not quite as directly with the classroom and the teacher. Okay, and the last major part of the presentation will be some slides that Mrs. Burse, the SC4 registrar, shared with our students. I've actually adapted those slides for this. But she came in during orientation to tell them about SC4 and their role at SC4 and what things are offered at the college for them. And her first slide actually was this, basically. She says, "We're glad you're here." And the college really is glad that our students from the middle college are attending. High school students make up about 20% of SC4 students now, and a lot of those students are from the Blue Water Middle College. High school students, duly enrolled students, usually do better on average than a traditional SC4 student, an older student. So they are glad that you're here, but you have to realize, and they need to learn, that things are a little different than high school when you're at the college. It's their responsibility to understand and follow the deadlines. We will do our best to make students aware of them and you through email, but it's important that they are also aware of the deadlines. The next one coming up that you would want to be aware of is Monday, October 6th. At that date, college instructors are required to post an early alert grade on the student's Wave account. That's their online account, and they can go in there to view the grades, and it's a snapshot of how they're doing 6 weeks into the 16-week semester. So there's still 10 weeks to correct grades that are lower than the student wants. So that will be Monday, October 6th. We will be in touch with you. We will get a report of all our students, and if a student is doing less than a C- grade, we will be in touch just to let you know and offer some ways they can get support. The other one, really the most important ones, I already mentioned, is this winter registration. Begins midnight on Monday, November 3rd, and then final exams, the entire semester wraps up the week of the 15th through the 19th. The semester does not continue on like the high school semester does into January. I won't spend a lot of time on this, but there is a very cool app that the college has access to now. The students do, as do you as a parent. It's called Ellucian Go. You will search in the App Store or however you get your apps if you have a smartphone for Ellucian Go and download it. And then you will have to choose St. Clair County Community College as the college. But it's got a lot of neat things, especially for students, but even for parents. That will list the canceled classes for the day, which students should check, any news from SC4, just a whole bunch of things here. And the students can actually access their grade and their schedule and things like that that you may not be able to do because you have to log in for that. But it's so that's a way of getting information for your son or daughter and keeping you in the loop. Other technology ways that students can keep in touch with the college, a couple of these you would have access to, this one you would not. This is their portal. We had one of the technology folks from SC4 present this to the students during the orientation, and Mrs. Burse will do more of that during her October 24th presentation in terms of all the things that are available here and how to use this to register. SC4 has a Facebook page. I believe it is Follow SC4, but if you search St. Clair County Community College in Facebook, it should come up. And they also have, if you're really up to date on things, a Twitter feed. So they have a Twitter account, and that one is @FollowSC4. So there's a lot of ways of staying informed and hearing what's going on at the college. Your son or daughter will have either a Skipper's One card, that's the official ID card, or they will have a temporary ID card if they're not yet 16 years old. And the students learned about this, but you should just know that they should have this. It's their ID card whenever they access something on campus. The folks at the college are going to ask them, do you have your ID card or your Skipper's card? And if they don't, they may ask for another form of identification, but they really want students to have the Skipper's card. You'll see it will have, when it comes, a MasterCard logo on it and the magnetic stripe. That is only if it's only usable if a student has financial aid dollars that are put back on the card for books and things. As a parent, you can actually load some money on there where your student could use it as a debit card for gas or food. So it does have some potential benefit. I won't go into that all right now. If you're interested in finding more about how to do that, you can either check with the information that comes with the card when it's mailed to you or to the student, or you can go into the SC4 registration office and they'll give you information on how to put money on that card so it can be used as a debit card. Class cancellations. A lot of our students live a long way away from SC4's campus, and it happens more than you think, that you get here and then you get to class and you find a sign on the door saying class is canceled for today. Whereas that doesn't happen in high school. They'll have a sub in there. In college, the door will be locked and that's it. So it's a good idea for your son or daughter to check before they leave. It only takes 20 seconds to check and see if their classes are listed on the class cancellation list. If not, they keep on coming. That Ellucian Go app will list class cancellations. They will also find them on their portal, so they can log in using their iPad or a computer at their high school or at home. And then there's actually a phone line they can call. So if they plug this into their cell phone, they can give it a quick call and hear the classes that are listed. And again, if theirs is not listed, then they must come to campus. They're expected that day. Student services at SC4 that they will have access to at any time. Some are more applicable than others. Academic advising, they can meet with advisors as much as they want, once a semester, once a year. We recommend that they do that. The advisors can give them good information on career counseling, transferability of classes, and so on. So that's something maybe a little early for our brand new students, but definitely by winter time, as they get ready to schedule for the fall of next year, I would recommend they make an appointment with an SC4 advisor. Any registration questions or help? Sometimes students do need, even our newest students, need to go into the registration office to submit an override notice or something like that, and they're just down the hall from us, so we can help them find it and get in line and so on. The people are great down there. The financial aid department are also there, located in the one-stop registration office. But our students really, unless you have a question about the future, you really don't need financial aid at this time. It's more of a third-year topic. But it's there, and you may want to know ahead of time what's going to be available to my son or daughter. Academic support, SC4 has wonderful ways of supporting students who struggle. There's the Achievement Center, which has tutoring in all the courses, whether it's accounting or chemistry, you'll find tutors for that in the Achievement Center. There are a couple of centers that are more specific, the Writing Center, and it is to provide help in papers for any class, not just English 101 or 102. So if your son or daughter has a paper coming up in anthropology or political science, they can go to the Writing Center. Definitely don't wait till the day before, but they can go there and have them look over what they've written and give them ideas. There's a Math Center. Many of our students don't have math classes at the college right now, but they can get help in their high school classes at SC4's Math Center. Okay, so that's just something to keep in mind. But definitely when they're in their first math classes, the Math Center will provide tutoring pretty much right on through the day in math. And then the library, the librarians there can be of great help. There's actually a program they started a year or so ago called Check Out a Librarian, just like you check out a book. And when you do that, let them know ahead of time, but you can actually sit down with a librarian and they'll work with you on gathering materials for a project for, I think, as much as 30 minutes, if not more. So that's pretty cool, one-on-one with a librarian. So, and one of the key areas of support are your instructor's office hours. That's really the number one place you should go if you're struggling. Have your child go and meet with their instructor during their office hours, which is time that they've scheduled to help meet with and help students. They do want to help you do well. I know campus safety is a concern when your youngster is heading off to the big city and the big campus here. Campus Patrol, there's some wonderful officers that are on campus in the buildings or in the parking lot. I would say Mrs. Burst told students to do this, but you might want to double check. Do they have that number programmed into their phone, 989-5757? And one of the officers will pick up when they call and they can just describe how they need help. There are some boxes, security boxes as well throughout campus. A few of the neat things, if your child is taking a night class, they will escort you to your vehicle. You just have to call them a little bit ahead of time, or as soon as you get out of class, give them a call and they'll get there as soon as they can, meet you outside your classroom, and then walk you to your car. So in this case, the other services, as the weather gets colder and damper and everything, they may find that their door locks freeze, they lock their keys in their car. If they're out of gas, the Campus Patrol can help with all these things. They can give them a little bit of gas, get them to the gas station, give them a jump start, and because it can be a kind of lonely feeling when you get out there at 9 o'clock at night or even in the afternoon, and your car won't start or you can't get into it. So Campus Patrol is great at SC4. Other services, there is a bookstore. Of course, we provide the books, but they may need testing papers, pens, pencils, writing paper, and so on. There is a cafe and like a Java hut, if you will, in the Student College Center building where they can fuel up. And if they eat too much, there's even a fitness center that SC4 students can use. And so if they have time in between classes or they're trying to stay in shape for their athletic season or program coming up, they can work in the fitness center on campus, which is really cool. The middle college students have full access to all of these. There are several clubs and organizations on campus. There is research that states that college students who are more involved in things on campus get better grades than students who are not. So there's a whole variety of things. Some of them are specific to certain career areas such as criminal justice, and then there's an engineering and alternative energy club, but there's also that are more some just for fun, the Zombie Defense Council. We have had students on the radio that have had little shifts on the campus radio station. So there's a whole variety, and I encourage, once your student builds their confidence and seems to have everything, under control, they look into some of these clubs, and we have a lot of middle college students participating in them, and in many cases holding leadership roles in the clubs. Mrs. Burst talked about the student code of conduct. Just like the high schools have one, the college does as well. Many of these are things, if you scan the list, you realize that chances are very slim that your son or daughter would be doing any of these things. But if they are, and if they are caught by Campus Patrol or any SC4 person, some action will be taken, and of course it could end up resulting in them being expelled from the college and prohibited from attending classes here, which really puts their whole middle college experience at risk. The one that I underlined here and I wanted to point out on this slide was this one on dishonesty, academic and non-academic. Predominantly it's the academic part, and that has to do with plagiarism or copying other people's work or submitting a paper that's not yours as yours. Students can quite easily and quickly be kicked out of a class. In other words, they lose a chance at that completing that class, and it would be with an E. It can even go so far as having them again expelled from the college overall. So plagiarism is taken very seriously at the college level, and make sure your son and daughter, if they haven't completed an assignment, it's better just to take the small penalty, usually for not completing an assignment, than copying something and turning in someone else's work. If at the end of a semester a student feels the grade is not fair, they can appeal. It's very difficult to get the grade changed, and there are only two reasons why a grade would be changed on the student's transcript at the college, and that is if the grade is based on an error in calculation. In other words, the student saying, I'm adding up all my papers and I seem to be getting a B, yet I have a C, I don't understand. So the instructor then would have to recalculate. But that's one of the things, if they calculated it wrong, or if the grades were based on something other than what it shows in the course syllabus. So we've told students from the very beginning the course syllabus is very important. Hang on to it. Understand the syllabus. We worked with students at the last success session on looking at the grading system that one or two teachers had. And so you want to make sure that you're being graded as it states in the syllabus. If you think there's a problem, talk to your instructor right away. But just saying that the instructor never liked me and this paper should be an A and it got a C, you're not going to be able to win that appeal. So the idea is just work hard, adapt to instructors, their way of teaching, and just, and if you're really in question, you can contact one of us, but we really have no impact on grading other than maybe giving the student strategies on what to do and how to talk to the instructor. Now, after this much, you're probably feeling overwhelmed or asleep or whatever. Just some final slides to maybe give you a little more confidence about how your son or daughter will do in the middle college. They can do it, and I'm confident of that. Up to last year, we had over 400 students who are doing it, who are succeeding here. Remember, their average high school grade point was about a 3.15. Their average college grade point is 3.0. So again, these are not all top level students, yet they're doing very strong, good college level work at a B average, in many cases much better than that. Last year, in terms of grades per class, almost 45% of all the winter semester grades of middle college students were A minus or A. So not too far under half of the grades were A minus or A. So it's not that it's really difficult to get an A or a B. Another 30% on top of that were in the B range, in other words, B minus to B plus. So you're looking at 75% of the grades were B minus or better. So 3/4 of the students were in that range. Now, a concern is that there is a percentage that fails and gets E's, and so that's something to keep in mind. And that's where, again, if you sense your son or daughter is struggling, have them come in, ask for help as soon as possible. Another good sign is almost 98% of our students return for a second or third year, and that's way above SC4's average retention rate. And I would guess it challenges, most of the high school retention rates as well, that they might lose more students than that, just moving away or coming up with another option or dropping out or something like that. So the retention rate of the middle college has been fantastic, and we take that as a good sign that the students and parents are happy with it. So these students are just like your students, and they're doing it, and we say if you ask for help, but basically this slide was designed for the students, but if they ask for help and accept it, they will do great. Here's our contact information. We do have a Facebook page. We have a Twitter account. I don't post things as often as I should on there, but I do use it once in a while. And so if you follow that, then it's a pretty easy way to get some information and announcements. And there are all our contact numbers and email addresses. And that is about it. And now, obviously, questions aren't an option on a YouTube video, but feel free to use any of these contact numbers or email addresses to send any questions our way. So thank you so much for putting up with this lengthy video, but it was more exciting, I guess, live than it is recorded. But I do appreciate you spending the time to get this important information. Thank you.